Welcome everybody to this month's edition of City Scene. This month we're going to be talking about two of my favorite subjects, road construction and the Levitt Shell. Stay tuned.
The Midco Aquatic Center is hiring part-time lifeguard positions, work while going to school, flexible schedules, and bonus opportunities available. No certification needed to apply. Find out more information at midcoaquaticcenter.org/employment.
Welcome back everybody. I'm Michelle Wellman, and again, I'm so glad that you joined me. Up first is a story that Shannon Austin is going to discuss about a road construction project at Southeastern and 26th Street.
Hi Sioux Falls, I'm Shannon Austin with the Public Works Engineering Office, and we have a great show for you planned today. We're going to be discussing 26th and Southeastern and also 229 and 26th Street interchange. We welcome to the show James Unruh from HDR and Travis Dresser from the Department of Transportation. We have been talking about this project since 2012, and I'm happy to say we're going to see some construction soon. But first, let's start with just a brief overview of the interchange project. Travis.
Sure. So as far as the Exit 5 interchange construction will start this coming spring here in 2019. The DOT's portion of it, the interchange generally consists of bridge widening at the interchange to improve capacity. There'll also be a realignment of Yeager Road, so it will no longer, the southbound off-ramp will no longer tie into Yeager Road. It will actually connect to the arterial street at 26th Street. Yeager Road will be shifted to the west. And then also 26th Street widening as we continue to the east up into to tie into the city's project.
Okay, so then let's go over, James, briefly describe our project. This is from the cities.
26th Street will be widened to 2 lanes in each direction with turn lanes, and the biggest thing is that 26th Street will go over the railroad tracks on a bridge. So you will not have to fight trains on 26th Street. And to raise 26th Street up roughly 25 to 30 feet to get over the railroad tracks, Southeastern Avenue will also be raised and widened so that it will have dual left turn lanes on all directions. So that's a huge change in what that area will look like.
Absolutely. So we saw a little precursor of some construction this year with Rotary Park. Where is our contractor at with the reconstruction and moving Rotary Park to the west?
Well, we had to move Rotary Park to the west because the access to Rotary Park now will be eliminated once the road is raised.
Okay.
So the new Rotary Park will take the place of the old Rotary Park, and we'll get access to the new Rotary Park from 26th Street on the west side of the Big Sioux River. The contractor is nearly done with that. The very challenging weather conditions made it tough to finish that early in the season, so they'll finish it up next spring.
Okay. So, but the park will be open throughout construction, correct?
Yes, that is correct. Yep.
All right, so Travis, you briefly mentioned the Yeager Road, the exit going off and stopping at Yeager Road. Why is that like that? I mean, that certainly isn't something that we would do today.
Sure, it's a very non-standard design when it was originally built. Typically those off-ramps tie into the arterial street and not into a local collector street. So that's one of the nice improvements that will be made that will push that intersection further to the west and help traffic progression along the corridor. Okay,
so you said we're going to add lanes. Are we widening the existing bridge? Or are we totally tearing it down and adding a new bridge, or what's our plan?
So the existing bridge today is in relatively good condition, so most of that bridge is being retained. We'll be removing barrier curbs and widening the bridge and accommodating pedestrians better with the new design.
Okay, so with the realignment of Yeager, it looks like there's 2 homes that had to be purchased. Is that what the DOT had to do there?
Yes, that's correct. Okay. We had 2 total property acquisitions, 2 residential homes just on the west side of the interchange, south side of 26th Street.
So because we started the project so long ago, it actually gave us time to get those properties purchased, didn't it?
Right, yeah. We actually got a little bit out in front of this one.
Great. So then flipping over to the 26th Street project, James, what was our property acquisition process like for the 26th and Southeastern project?
We actually purchased 3 properties, 1 private residence, and that was actually purchased several years ago, and that house has been torn down. Okay. And they are in the process of basically demolishing the old dentist's office and the old insurance and headhunters building. That was one necessity in order to make this project happen was to actually purchase those 3 parcels.
So with that, with those demolition of those 2 buildings and the single-family home, it really opens up that intersection quite a bit, doesn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
it does, and it'll be nicely landscaped, and it'll be much more open for drivers as they drive through that area.
So the condominiums that were right next to the hair salon, are those staying?
Yes, those are
Okay.
actually staying, and we will provide a new little driveway for them so they don't actually have to come out onto Southeastern Avenue.
Okay. So try to give our viewers a perspective of how much height will we actually raise that intersection?
Boy, to get over the railroad tracks, yes, the new 26th Street will have to be about 30 feet above what it is today. So that's a long bridge. It will actually go over the Big Sioux River. It will cross the Big Sioux River and the railroad tracks. Okay. And we have some nice renderings that actually show that. And that also means there will be some big retaining walls along Southeastern Avenue. So very different perspective out there to raise the roadways that much, but it had to be done to get over the railroad tracks.
So did we have to tie anything into the DOT's improvements then to make sure that the whole corridor was had a nice aesthetic look?
Oh yes, that was the idea, to make it all look like it was all one project. And I think when people are done, they will notice it all blends together very nicely.
Good. So Travis, let's talk about impacts to drivers. We certainly are going to see some impacts. Can you kind of give our viewers what's the first phase of construction that our drivers will be impacted in 2019?
So sure, during the first phase, generally construction will start on the south side of the interchange, and that work will continue down through 26th Street. During construction, the northbound off-ramp will remain open to traffic at all times. Because of some of the turning movements and congestion that is expected along there, the northbound on-ramp will be closed during construction, as well as during a phase of construction, the southbound off and on-ramps will also be closed while they are being regraded and constructed.
Okay. So what are some alternate routes then, I guess for both projects, that we're going to see increased traffic on?
Well, I know for 26th Street, we'll maintain 1 lane of traffic in each direction, but that there's 26,000 vehicles every day now that use 26th Street, and we can only get about half of them through there with just 1 lane in each direction. So 57th Street on the south side and 10th Street on the north side will be our alternate routes for 26th Street traffic. For Southeastern Avenue traffic, and Southeastern Avenue will have to be closed. The south side will be closed in 2019. The north side of 26th Street, Southeastern Avenue, will be closed in 2020. And alternate routes for Southeastern Avenue will be Cliff Avenue on the east side, and then Sycamore on, Cliff Avenue on the west side and Sycamore Avenue on the east side.
So that'll certainly, southeastern traffic is probably going to have the hardest hit then, I would think.
That will be a challenge.
Yeah.
A local detour will be 41st Street and Bonson, and actually we're installing a temporary signal at 41st and Bonson to accommodate the increased traffic.
Okay. So on the interstate, Travis, will the main line head-to-head traffic, or would it go head-to-head, or will it just be 1 lane in each direction, or will the impacts be on the interstate?
Sure, so traffic will not be moved to head-to-head
Okay.
conditions for this project, which is very common on our interchange projects. For this one, we probably will see lane reductions. As we go underneath the bridge, there will be work that needs to happen. There will be some overnight closures in order to demolish the railing above the interstate so that debris doesn't fall on cars. So there will be some overnight closures for that work. Alternate routes for the interstate traffic are going to be Cliff Avenue to the south and 10th Street to the north.
Okay. Next year then, or in 2019, do we plan on having any more public meetings just to let the people know, or how are we going to communicate with the public during construction?
That's a big, important thing to us, and as soon as we have a contractor on board, which should happen late January, we will have another public meeting to alert the public again to exactly what is going to be happening on this project, because many people will be impacted by it on their daily commutes. So yes, probably the early February timeframe.
Okay.
And we'll also maintain our website so that people can check on there and look for any updates, and construction updates will be the big thing. What's happening next in construction? And we'll also have part of each weekly construction meeting available to the public to come and raise any concerns.
Okay. So Travis, your folks are going to be the actual on-site inspection. Are there any unique things that you want to let our viewers know about during construction, or who to contact, and just any information you want to get out there?
Yeah, I think tying on to what James said, the public involvement portion of this and getting that information out to the public is important with the amount of drivers that are impacted by the project. As part of these public information meetings, it's important for us to introduce the project team, introduce the contractor, so people know who to contact and where they can go to get information on the project.
Well, you guys, thanks so much for your time today, and we are so excited about this project in Sioux Falls. We certainly ask for your patience in the next couple of years. It's going to be a pretty tough next couple of years, but I know we can all get through it. Make sure you keep track of the City of Sioux Falls' website at siouxfalls.org under Project Construction, and we will make sure that you get informed whenever you need to. So thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, Shannon. Speaking of construction, one of my favorite things is being built this year. Falls Park West is the Levitt Shell.
Mike Patton, Park Development Specialist, City of Sioux Falls Parks and Recreation Department. I'm here today to give you a construction update on the Falls Park West development and Levitt Shell project. We had a pretty wet summer, and we sort of trudged through all the rain and wet conditions of the summer, and we've since moved on through a fairly decent fall and made a lot of headway. We've buttoned up a lot of the site improvements. We've gotten as far as even placing sod within the interior festival grounds. We've got most of the buildings up and framed, and we're just heading into winter, looking forward to button up the interior construction pieces of the project. The red iron that you see behind us is the support steel that will hold the waved canopy that'll be the overhang, the overtop of the stage itself. We're looking to finish up a lot of the structural steel work here in the next month or so, and we're looking forward to setting the glulam beams that will make up the canopy of the structure here in the first part of January. Behind me right here you can see the skeleton that will be the framework for the video board. It's a large Dactronics board that will be used in both the production of the Levitt venues as well as other special events held within the park. Over the next couple months, we'll be working on finishing up the interior portions of the building, and as we transition into spring, we'll look at buttoning up the remaining portions of the site improvements. We still have some retaining walls and some landscaping to do, as well as restoring the site when we're done with construction. We're looking for an April completion date for the project, with first performances starting as early as June.
Joining us now is Scott Timmer with Sioux Falls Park and Rec, and we're here to learn everything about the ice skating in Sioux Falls during the winter. Hi, Scott.
Hi.
Behind us, we have a winter wonderland of ice. Tell me about how this gets created, who comes, all the kind of what's what.
Sure, you bet. We start in early December, and obviously we have to have the weather conditions to make ice.
Details, just details.
You know, it takes freezing temperatures to make the ice, obviously. But we have two crews. We start at midnight each night, and we work till 2:30 every day.
Wow,
5 days a week,
Oh.
and then we do have weekend crews that come in to try to make ice as well during the day.
Okay.
And so we start that process in early December, and we'll keep them on until about now, when we've got a real solid base of ice that's skatable and that will sustain itself for as long as the weather allows.
So, all right, so this is not just in December, put it on and you're done.
No.
This is a build and build and build.
Yep, and it's a build, and then it's also a maintain. We will begin that process next week of maintaining, continue building as the temperatures allow, but we'll maintain the ice until the conditions are unsafe. And each morning the rinks get brushed, and then when conditions allow, we actually Zamboni the rinks, which means...
I don't mean to laugh, but I had no idea.
Yeah, we do a lot to try to maintain our ice.
And so tell me what's special about right behind us here at Sherman Park.
You bet. Well, Sherman Park and Memorial Park are the two rinks in town that we have hockey rinks available for the public to use as well.
When you say the public, does that mean anybody can come down and have sort of pickup games?
Sure, absolutely. It's not scheduled, and so it's open ice, open skate for everybody.
Again, I really have to look at my little guide a little bit better. I had no idea. So if it's a chilly spring, could this go all the way to April or to March?
We'll go as long as the ice conditions allow, and typically we get to the middle of February, and just the nature of the sun, as it gets higher, as the days get longer, it becomes more difficult to maintain the ice.
So this year was a little bit late.
Yes, we were a little bit late.
Because I
And
was
so-
walking around saying, this is weird, this is
Yeah,
so nice.
Yeah, we're open daily,
Oh,
and
okay.
if people can check the winter activities guide online
Perfect.
at siouxfalls.org and check the Park and Recreation website, and it'll give you all the hours. Generally during the week we're open at 4 o'clock. On the weekends we're generally open at 1 o'clock.
All right, Scott.
And you can, the hours vary as far as the length in the evening, so check the activities guide, and that'll give you the information you need.
Perfect suggestion. So what I have learned, the ice gets built. It's not just a one-time pour.
Right.
The Zamboni comes out,
Yes.
a term I haven't used for years. And 2 of the parks have hockey rinks that you can just come and have pickup games on.
You bet.
Scott, thanks so much.
You bet. Thanks for coming out.
Hello, my name is Dr. Jay Allen with Falls Community Health. Whooping cough is an illness that kills over 85,000 infants globally each year. Whooping cough rates are unfortunately on the rise, with 6 times more cases this year than last in South Dakota. This is a preventable illness with the Tdap vaccine. If you are pregnant or have close contact with a baby, please consider the Tdap vaccine, as your immunity protects your infant. Ask your doctor if you're due for a booster, or contact Falls Community Health for more information.
Sioux Falls Parks and Recreation has part-time positions available to supervise our open gym programs. Flexible schedules, afternoon, evening, and weekend opportunities are available. Apply online today. Great jobs, great experiences. To find your job, go to siouxfalls.org/parks-jobs.
Did you know that there's a new building in town that houses the county's historical collections? Here's some more information.
Welcome to the Irene Hall Museum Resource Center of the Siouxland Heritage Museums. This is a new 30,000 square foot facility that will house the Siouxland Heritage Museum's collection for the people of the city of Sioux Falls and Minnehaha County. This is a great site. We now can store museum's collection in a climate-controlled environment that's safe and organized and clean. And it's a great place for the public to come and do research about your historic home. You can do some genealogical research here as well. Research different types of artifacts. And we have a space just for that, a research room for the public. One of the biggest changes for the museum collection is the advent of climate control. We can control in different areas of the building the humidity and the temperature over time and provide a much more stable environment for those artifacts to live in. Photographic material, manuscript collections, libraries, those items have a little bit different comfort level, that level where they're going to be best preserved in terms of temperature and humidity than, say, firearms or textiles, clothing collections. They're a little bit different. Native American artifacts also tend to be a little bit different in composition. So we have specific areas of the storage that are for those different specialized collections. But on the whole, it's a huge advance in terms of some of these artifacts have been stored in unheated or cooled garages and are now going to be able to be preserved in a much better setting. The collections management staff, who used to be officed at the old Courthouse Museum, have moved out here to the Museum Resource Center full-time. We have about 20 volunteers who have traditionally worked with collections management with those full-time staff members who will also be working out here. And we have ongoing volunteer opportunities. If any member of the public is interested in volunteering for the museum and maybe helping to learn to work with the collection, they can call the museum's general number, 367-4210. That will ring at the Old Courthouse Museum, and our volunteer coordinator will be happy to set up an appointment and see what we can work out. The Irene Hall Museum Resource Center is really here to help preserve our community's cultural heritage. These are artifacts that relate to the history of our city. We have things that belong to John Tudhill, Tudhill Park fame, the carriages and wagons that belong to him. We have a trunk from Walter Doolittle, who served in the 1st South Dakota Volunteer Infantry. We have clothing, we have tens of thousands of photographs of our community, of houses, of people. All of it is preserved here and available for the public. The Siouxland Heritage Museum continues to operate the Old Courthouse Museum and the Pettigrew-Homan Museum. And we have a policy of changing over our exhibitions. Those exhibits are up for about 18 to 24 months, and then we change them. And the artifacts that are on display rotate. Artifacts from the Irene Hall Resource Center will go and be on exhibit at the Pettigrew and Old Courthouse. Things that have been on display there will come here to rest until the next time they're out on exhibition. The Irene Hall Museum Resource Center has been a great project. It's been one where the city, the county, and private funding really came together to make this possible. And the Siouxland Heritage Museums were formed in 1974 as a joint project between the city and county. The city and county have always shared the cost of operating the museum. In this case, we had a donor, Bob and Kari Hall, who 10 years ago donated 25 acres of land to the museum, 5 acres to be a site for the museum collection storage, and 20 acres that could be sold to help raise money. Well, we sold that 20 acres. We raised about $1.5 million from the sale, and that money has gone towards the construction of this building, along with a contribution from the city and the county.
I don't know about you, but I certainly packed a little bit on over the holidays. Here's Alyssa sharing some tips on how to get it off.
Hi, I'm Alyssa Gailey with Live Well Sioux Falls, and I'm here with Shelby, a dietetic intern from SDSU, and she's going to be talking about some healthier holiday swaps. So Shelby, thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You know, the holidays come with lots of baked goods, lots of eating. So what are some ideas that you have for swapping out some ingredients?
There's a lot of different options you can do. There's avocado, pumpkin puree, evaporated milk, and those are all some quick, easy swaps that you could take to substitute the fat in some of those recipes.
Oh, that's really cool. So what about, like, at my last gathering, we always have a relish tray, and you always have to dip your veggies in ranch dip. Do you have a good sub for that?
Yeah, so I like to take Greek yogurt and use some of this ranch dip mix with a little bit of lemon juice and mix it all together, and it's a great substitute, and it also cuts down on the calories and also gets a little more protein into the diet.
Oh yeah, we all need to cut down on our calories this holiday season. So what are some other swaps? I see you have applesauce here. What can we use that for?
Yeah, applesauce is great in baking recipes, so it's a good substitute for oil, and it's also a 1-to-1 substitute, so that's an easy one to remember. And you can use it in different recipes for cakes or breads or anything like that.
Oh, that's really cool. What about, like, you have some different, looks like sweeteners here. What do we do with those?
So Splenda and stevia are both great options. They're 0-calorie sweeteners, so cutting down on the calories once again. Stevia is actually a more natural one, so that's what I would recommend. But yeah, they're easy subs to swap out.
Okay. And then what about some whole wheat flour? I know wheat is better for us, but what do I do with that?
Yeah, so that's another one. Wheat flour can make your desserts or breads a little more dense, so I would recommend just maybe substituting half of the white flour for wheat flour just to get a little bit more whole grain in there.
Okay. So what about, we can do all these things, but what are some other tips you have for like eating during the holidays?
So there's always a lot of appetizers and food sitting out all the time. So one thing I like to recommend is to get a plate and sit down if you're going to eat. Don't just walk around the counter and graze all day long, because then you're going to be more apt to overeat.
Okay. And then what about alcohol and just kind of those drinks? What do we do about that?
Yeah, so one thing I like to do is use sparkling water.
Okay.
It has a little bit of flavor and still has that carbonation, so it's a good substitute for that.
Okay.
You can add some fruit or anything to add up the flavor in it.
Okay. Well, thanks for being here, Shelby. These are some great tips that you can use year-round, especially during the holidays. And you can find more tips on our website at www.livewellsiouxfalls.org.
Well, that's all we have for this month, folks. So if you're looking for some more information, to watch it again, to check out this mug, visit us on YouTube or SiouxFalls.org. Thanks again. Bye-bye.